Good evening and welcome to the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin for Monday, December 1, 2025. I'm Madonna Doric. In the headlines tonight, President Ali unveils bold economic roadmap, urges private sector to seize oil and gas opportunities, thousands falling out of care. NAPS warns HIV treatment gaps threaten 2030 elimination goal. GPF officer arrested after wild AK-47 video probe underway. HIV spike linked to unsafe sex among young Guyanese. 5,700 Guyanese on HIV treatment as NAPS battles to keep patients in care. Consumer Affairs received 461 complaints worth $471 million in 2025. Construction, electronics lead, and MANICKCHAND. Law, not politics, will decide Region 10 chairmanship. Now for the news in depth. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali has outlined an ambitious national economic strategy, emphasizing massive infrastructure expansion and calling on the local private sector to intensify its participation in the oil and gas ecosystem. The head of state delivered the charge at the Guyana Oil and Gas Energy Chamber annual award dinner. Colin Abrams has this report.
President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali highlighted what he described as a historic alignment between the government's development agenda and the private sector's growing momentum. An alignment, he said, was a stark contrast to earlier years. He pointed to key achievements already reshaping the country's trajectory, including the establishment of a world-class technical training facility and the Gas-to-Shore project, initiatives once met with skepticism, but now, as he puts it, are done, dusted, and placed before the world. The president issued a direct challenge to local businesses, urging the rapid formation of a homegrown consortium capable of supplying support and service vessels to the offshore oil industry. He identified shipping and maritime logistics as the next major gap that Guyanese companies must move swiftly to fill. President Ali stressed that the government is targeting high multiplier sectors and more aggressively on gas development. He said the pace of deployment, each new floating production, storage and offloading vessel must now be matched by the rollout of the second gas project in Berbice set for 2030.
Within the next 5 years, in Wales alone, you're talking about investment maybe upward of about $4 billion to build out what Wales will be in 5 years. Just Wales I'm talking about there. The infrastructure and the ecosystem that will be enabled as a result of gas, the first pipeline. That include, of course, the second power plant.
The head of state outlined several transformative infrastructure projects in the pipeline, including the expansion of the road loop connecting Wales to Region 4, integrating with the Letham to Lindem corridor, a new Berbice River Bridge, new airports for Berbice and Letham, and further expansion of the Chadiagan International Airport. He reported exceptional production growth, noting that Ghana began the year producing roughly 650,000 barrels of oil per day and will close the year at 930,000 barrels per day. According to the president, global attractiveness is being driven not only by international investment, but by the mandated participation of the local private sector.
The private sector has unlocked historic nuances that capture the thinking of the private sector in a mode of complaining. To today, a private sector that is innovative, driven, results-focused, and highly motivated. And I congratulate the private sector for that.
President Ali highlighted that Ghana is entering its golden era, but cautioned that sustained prosperity depends on rapid improvements in human capital development. He said the number one concern for businesses remains human capital management, and he urged Guyanese workers to keep pace with the expanding economy through upskilling and stronger productivity. He warned that complacency could kill productivity, kill competitiveness, and destroy our ability to be the best we can be. End of quote. The president reaffirmed that Ghana's rise is being guarded and anchored by steady, competent hands as the country diversifies its revenue streams from energy production to monetizing its forests through environmental services and advancing a national strategic plan for the orange economy. He emphasized that these measures are designed to secure long-term stability and ensure that future generations inherit a Ghana defined not just by growth, but by resilience and opportunity. Calvin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
The standoff over who will lead Region 10 conversation took center stage on Monday as Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Priya Manikchand made it clear she has zero authority to resolve the stalemate.
And that changed. The minister no longer has a role to determine who's going to become the chairman if you have a tie. There's a process, and that process has to be engaged. So I hope that they do that shortly.
Minister MANICKCHAND stated during a radio interview with Gordon Mosley, at the heart of the impasse is a 9-9 tie from the October 2025 RDC internal election between Wins Mark Goring and APNU Dominic Blair, leaving Region 10 Upper Damraro Berbice the only administrative region still without a sworn-in chair. Manikchand stressed that the law intentionally removed the ministerial tie-breaking power to avoid any appearances of political bias.
Sometimes it's far more than you see on the surface. I think the parties there have their own issues going on too. So the minister has no role, none. The law removed the role, and it was right to remove the role because here you have a politically partisan minister who is going to go into a place to tie break. How do you think that's going to work? It's not even if the minister is fair. It's that it would have appeared unfair, and justice must appear.
Under Section 20 of the Local Democratic Organs Act, the clerk, not the minister, must guide the tie resolution process. 3 successive votes must be taken if ties persist. If all 3 wrongs tie, the clerk must record how each councillor voted. The clerk must then compute numeric seat values based on proportional representation votes. The candidate with the highest tally is declared chairman. If even after all of this a tie remains, a final decision must be made by lot, in the presence of a magistrate, councillors, and the public. Manikchand said she expects the clerk to proceed. On November 28, 2025, President Dr. Irfan Ali swore in chairpersons for the other 9 regions. Region 10 was absent, still locked in its unresolved vote, the president later noted.
Within the ambit of the Constitution and within the ambit of the rules governing the elections, that the chair and vice chair of Region 10 will be sworn in and at the appropriate time when they conclude their elections.
The 2025 election redrew Region 10's political map. Once a solid APNU stronghold, the Region 10 now reflects a more diverse balance of power. WIN 9 seats, APNU 5 seats, PBBC 3 seats, and Forward Guyana 1 seat. Adana Dore, Guyana TV9 News. As Guyana marks World AIDS Day under the local theme, letting communities lead, equity in action, the National AIDS Program Secretariat has reported a troubling shift in sexual behavior among the country's youth. New data shows that condoms use among young people has dropped dramatically, and it is contributing to a rise in HIV cases. In an exclusive interview with Guyana TV9, NAP's director, Dr. Tyrek Jack Narain, is urging the public, especially young adults, to take their sexual health seriously. According to Dr. Jack Narain, for years, Guyana recorded fewer than 450 new HIV cases annually, but that trend is shifting, and the increase is coming from one group in particular, young people ages 20 to 29. This rise, he stated, isn't driven by a lack of access to condoms or treatment, but by changing attitudes and risky sexual behavior.
Many of them are not practicing safe sex. They're not using condoms. We've done studies with about 1,250 persons to look at their sexual behaviors last year. And we've seen that many men around that age group, they don't use condoms. And when you ask ladies to how many of them ask their partners to use condom, just about 8% of them indicated that they ask. The condom use among men, it's at 45%. And that gives you an idea of what's happening.
The findings come from a national survey conducted last year, and what it shows is startling. Not only are condoms being used less, but awareness of PrEP, the daily pill that prevents HIV, remains low. NAPS found that only 4 out of 10 Guyanese know what PrEP is. And despite new strategies from school outreach programs to neon signs in nightclubs where condoms can be collected discreetly, the message isn't translating into a behavior
But
change.
you can take the horse to the well, but the horse at this point has to drink the water, and its concept is the same. We can put the condoms in your hand, but you have to choose to use it, and it goes both for women and men.
NAPS has been expanding prevention tools, including larger condom sizes, flavor options, and colorful designs aimed at appealing to younger demographics. But with rising infections, the agency is reminding the public that HIV remains a reality and taking precautions is critical. Dr. Jack Narayan says combating misinformation is also key, especially around condom use for different types of sexual activities.
A lot of people have so many misconceptions out there. Condoms is not just for vaginal sex. Anal sex, you have a higher risk if you don't use condoms. And so
As Guyana pushes towards its 2030 eliminations targets, NAPS is urging the public to get tested, learn about PrEP, and take advantage of prevention resources already available across the country. Dr. Jack Narayan notes that the fight against HIV cannot be won by the health systems alone. It requires communities to lead, speak up, and take action. NAPS continue its outreach efforts in schools, clubs, hotels, and communities nationwide, with plans to introduce long-acting injectable PrEP in the coming years. On this World AIDS Day, Dr. Jack Narayan advises to get informed, get tested, protect yourself and your partner. Adana Dorek, Guyana TV9 News. A 32-year-old pandit from Zealand housing scheme is now in police custody after a roadside collision spiraled into an alleged assault on Sunday night. Police report that around 20 hours, the pandit was among a group gathered on Fisher Dam Access Road when a 25-year-old construction worker approached on an electronic motorcycle and collided with the gathering. What happened next, investigators say, turned violent. The pandit allegedly attacked the rider, inflicting injuries to his face and body. The suspect was arrested shortly after the incident. The injured motorcyclist was treated at the Deakinderate Regional Hospital and discharged. The investigation remains ongoing. An officer is under close arrest after a disturbing video emerged showing a police rank from Guyana Police Force (GPF) stationed in Regional Police Division Number 1, brandishing a firearm, allegedly an AK-47, and firing shots indiscriminately on a street in Port Kaituma, Northwest District. The footage went viral on social media late November 2025, prompting the force's top brass to act.
One day after the video surfaced, the Commissioner of Police ordered a full investigation. The officer featured in the video was immediately placed under close arrest, and the Office of Professional Responsibility (OPR) was tasked with carrying out a detailed inquiry into the circumstances of the incident. Video clips show the off-duty rank walking around with a weapon in Port Kaituma while allegedly intoxicated, threatening civilians by pointing the rifle at them and at one point firing at least 2 shots. According to witnesses in the video, people nearby tried to calm him down and eventually led him away. Though panic and screams can be heard, the Guyana Police Force has reiterated that this matter is being treated with the utmost seriousness. The evidence contained in the video will form a key part of the ongoing probe to determine whether the criminal or disciplinary action or both is warranted. The force pledged to uphold its standards of professionalism and accountability and to keep the public informed as the investigation progresses. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
Guyana officially launched its first ever Masquerade Day at the National Museum in Georgetown at the weekend, marking a historic milestone and recognizing one of the nation's oldest, most colorful, and culturally significant traditions. The ceremony brought together government officials, cultural advocates, and performers in a unified effort to honor the art form and reaffirm its place in Guyana's national identity.
Minister within the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport, Stephen Jacobs, praised the work of the Masquerade Association, noting that its passion and leadership have been instrumental in revitalizing the craft. He said the masquerade is far more than entertainment. It is a living history preserved through music, dance, and storytelling.
Your leadership is ensuring that future generations will inherit a tradition filled with rhythm, color, creativity, and joy. I wish everyone a lively, vibrant, and unforgettable Mashumani Day, filled with music, dance, cultural pride, and plenty of fun. And when the masqueraders come back, I'll be dancing and shaking. But you have our commitment in supporting the Masquerade Association. And like I mentioned, early January, a major stakeholder engagement so that we can engage the cultural and creative industry so that we can propel the orange economy.
Minister Jacobs reminded the audience that the unmistakable sounds of the banjo, flute, horsehead, mad cow, and Mother Sally embodied the true spirit of the Guyanese Christmas. He called for a renewed sense of national pride and encouraged young people to embrace the tradition, safeguard its legacy, and drive its evolution. The minister reaffirmed the government's support for cultural development and announced a stakeholder engagement plan for January to strengthen the creative sector and bolster the growing orange economy. Assistant Director of Tourism Sunali Ragdumar said the ministry was proud to champion the launch of Masquerade Day, describing it as a vibrant representation of Guyana's cultural richness. She highlighted the art form's deep roots in Africa heritage and its enduring role as a symbol of resilience, identity, and community expression.
As a complement of the tourism industry, cultural tourism emphasizes the diversity of our festivals, our cuisine, dance, music, and historically our people, which showcase our multifaceted offering available to visitors, local, both international. This type of tourism not only highlights our cultural richness, but also presents an opportunity for our visitors to engage deeply with the local way of life. Visitors can explore Asian sites, monument, museum, arts, and as well attend performances such as these that depicts the variety and vibrancy of our culture.
As Guyana embraces the cultural revival, officials hope the annual observance will inspire wider community support, preserve the historical significance of the art form, and ensure that the brilliance of masquerade continues to flourish for decades to come. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
More news after the break. Stay tuned.
Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamahar Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
Celebrate Christmas the Guyanese way with 7 days of magic and adventure. Feel the streets come alive with lights, decor, and carols. Share in the delicious joy of favorites like pepper pot, black cake, and even ginger beer. Then explore Guyana's attractions, the majestic kite show, scenic tour on the Demerara Essequibo, and Mahaica Rivers. 7 days, one unforgettable Christmas. Join us. Let's discover Guyana this Christmas.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006. 710 5008 600 5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertown, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana, get ready for Sundown 2025, the country's biggest electronic music and arts festival, featuring Danik from the Netherlands, Walshy Fire of Major Lazer, Lip Prince, creator of Reggaetronics, and Helang from New York. An open-air festival packed with massive light shows, art installations, and the main stage by the ocean. December 6th, Marriott Beachfront, Georgetown. Time, 3 p.m. till 2 a.m. Tickets available online at ticketgateway.com. Eventbrite and Potsalt. For physical ticket locations, visit BPM Guyana on all socials. Sundown 2025. Guyana's EDM movement starts here.
Welcome back. You're watching Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. From January to today, the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission CCAC has fielded 461 official consumer complaints, which redress claims topping 471 million Guyana dollars. Complaints are coming in across multiple sectors, led by electronics, automotive, and increasingly the booming construction industry. In an exclusive interview with Guy TV9's Colwyn Abrams, CCAC Communications Officer Alison Parker revealed the Commission's aggressive effort to ensure supplier compliance and protect consumers nationwide.
The Competitions and Consumers Affairs Commission, CCAC, is warning that consumer complaints are on the rise, with the automotive industry, electronics, and construction sectors generating the highest numbers of cases. According to Alison Parker, Communications Officer of the Competitions and Consumers Affairs Commission, the Commission has received 461 official complaints from January to date, with a total redress value exceeding $471 million. Of that, over $333 million has already been resolved, while the remainder is actively being pursued.
And so people are becoming more conscious now and are filing their complaints. They're no longer letting it go, and we are happy to seek redress on their behalf. What we want to see also is that suppliers become more compliant. And so the number of complaints will come down because they're compliant. And we have categories, the categories of complaints. So electronics and appliances. Electronics and electrical appliances are up there. Then we have the auto industry. Because, everybody...
It's a refurbished.
Yes.
It's full of refurbished cars.
And people are buying cars. You see what's happening on the roads. And because we have a building boom, construction. So we're getting those construction complaints.
Parker highlighted that the construction sector is seeing a record number of complaints, mostly involving contractors characterized as service providers. With Guyana in the midst of a major construction boom, consumer dissatisfaction in this sector has surged.
And I think it goes hand in hand with what's happening. We have a number of buildings. People are getting their house lots. There's more construction. There's a building boom nationally. So, of course, you will see those complaints coming in.
Okay.
Yes. So we want to encourage you, ensure you get that warranty.
Yep.
Ensure you do not affix your signature to any contract.
You have to read.
That you have not read.
Yes.
Read that contract. Not just read, but read and understand what you're signing.
The CCAC urges consumers to remain vigilant and informed about their rights, particularly when purchasing electronics and electrical appliances, sectors that consistently see high complaint volumes in January. To protect consumers, the Commission conducts weekly inspections and mystery shopping, targeting illegal or non-compliant practices. These include ensuring all prices are clearly displayed with VAT included, removing illegal no refund or no return signage, preventing suppliers from forcing exchanges instead of refunds, and confirming that all goods sold in Ghana include information labels in English. When non-compliance is identified, businesses are issued with an excerpt from the relevant act and given a chance to comply. Those that meet all requirements are awarded with compliance certificates, which they are encouraged to display, signaling to consumers that they are shopping at a trustworthy, law-abiding business. Parker emphasized that the CCAC is relentless in its pursuit to consumer protection, ensuring that suppliers respect the law and that consumers receive their fair treatment and redress. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
Ghana's tenure on the United Nations Security Council has been defined by a strong, unwavering defense of the UN Charter, protecting territorial integrity, sovereignty, and human rights. This was emphasized by Ghana's permanent representative to the UN, Ambassador Caroline Rodriguez-Burkett, as she reflected on the country's election and service.
Ambassador Rodriguez-Burkett highlighted that Guyana's overwhelming election victory, securing 191 of 192 votes, signaled deep global trust in the country's leadership, especially as a small state. She described the Security Council as both a privilege and a burden, stressing its unmatched authority as the only UN body whose decisions bind the entire membership. With this understanding, Guyana entered its term committed to defending multilateralism and the Charter, advocating daily for the protection of territorial integrity, sovereignty, and international human rights law.
And the Council is responsible for the maintenance of international peace and security, which is the foundation of the UN. As you would recall, the UN was founded after World War II. And the Charter, the UN Charter, speaks at the very beginning that the United Nations is formed to prevent the scourge of war ever again. So the Council is extremely important, and it's the one body of the United Nations that when it makes a decision, it must be adhered to by the entire United Nations.
She stressed that being a small state did not diminish Guyana's voice or its ideas. Instead, it strengthened Guyana's resolve to champion cooperation, collective security, and non-military solutions to conflict. Values a small state depend on first survival. Guided by this philosophy, Guyana consistently argued for respect of the Charter in every conflict before the Council. Ambassador Rodriguez-Burkett noted that although geopolitical pressures made the work challenging, Guyana remained focused on upholding humanitarian and human rights laws across all global crises discussed at the UNSC.
In fact, small countries are the ones that I believe are the sticklers for multilateralism because we realize that our destinies are tied with others as well. We do not have large militaries. And in this day and age, you do not have military solutions to conflict. So we know that very well. And we went on the council with that. And every day we sit on the council, we advocate for the charter to be upheld. And included in that would be territorial integrity and sovereignty. We know our own position. International law as a whole, but also for international human rights law and humanitarian law to be upheld in conflict situations.
According to the ambassador, Guyana's principled stance earned its significant visibility and respect within the Council. She said that even as a small, non-permanent member, Guyana's leadership and voice were acknowledged among its peers. The firm, consistent positions taken by the country drew considerable coverage during its tenure. Ambassador Rodriguez-Burkett expressed pride that despite a difficult international environment, Guyana stayed true to its values and responsibilities.
I know that our voice is respected, the voice of Guyana, because the voice of Guyana, in addition to us or me or anyone of the team speaking at the Security Council, we have to see this within the whole. When our president speaks, when our vice president speaks, when our minister speaks as well, we're all speaking the same language. It is Guyana. And we were able to have quite a bit of coverage during our time on the council because of the positions we take.
As Guyana's 23-month term near its end, Ambassador Rodriguez Burkett said the country remains confident in the legacy it leaves behind, one defined by integrity, consistency, and an unshakable commitment to the Charter. The mission, she said, was always clear: uphold the rules, defend the vulnerable, and honor the trust the international community placed in Guyana. Faith Sandy, Guyana TV9 News.
As Guyana intensifies its push to eliminate HIV/AIDS by 2030, health officials say one of the most serious obstacles is not diagnosis, it's keeping people on treatment. In an interview with Guyana TV9, Program Manager of National AIDS Program Secretariat NAPS, Dr. Tyrek Jagdarine described treatment dropout as quiet but dangerous setback, threatening national progress. Guyana currently has an estimated 10,000 people living with HIV, but only 5,700 remain in continuous care. That means thousands have stopped taking medication, leaving themselves vulnerable and increasing the risk of transmission across communities.
There are lots of challenges where we have a population, once persons are feeling healthy and they're healthy, they don't like to take medication. And so we've introduced it to communities. You look at our National AIDS Program Secretariat, our Facebook page, and our LinkedIn page, as well as Instagram. You will see that we've been promoting PrEP, but a lot of people, they're not using it.
Viral suppression, when treatment drives HIV to undetectable levels, is the foundation of global HIV control. It protects the individual and completely prevents transmission, a principle known as worldwide as U equals U. Undetectable equals untransmittable. But for those who drop out of care, the virus quickly rebounds, immunity weakens, and the risk of infecting partners skyrockets. To prevent this, NAPS has strengthened its follow-up system, ensuring that no patient disappears without support.
And so we have a robust system at the National AIDS Program through the clinics where we practice something called a lost to follow-up clinic. We try to go back to your address, call you. We even use social media to track you a bit. Of course, all with consent and ethical practices, and ensure that we can link you back to treatment, because those individuals, we don't want them to actually be out there spreading HIV in any way.
However, the challenge is even greater in remote regions. Partners in hinterland and riverine communities face tough realities: distance, transportation costs, harsh working environments, and irregular access to clinics. Many stop medication simply because getting into a health facility is difficult.
There are some gaps when you look at areas, those persons who are involved in mining communities, logging communities, some persons who live in rural terrains and mountainous regions, they have issues with accessibility. And so they may miss some of their treatment. You have also, because we're using one of the best treatment, it makes people feel very healthy quickly. And so some persons, when they feel healthy, they lapse within this behavior of, okay, I'm healthy, I don't need to take medication. And so sometimes they don't panic. And so we've had instances of those.
Despite these setbacks, Dr. Jack Ryan emphasized that Guyana offers world-class HIV treatment medication that rapidly restores health and suppresses the virus when taken consistently. With the national goal of reducing new infections to fewer than 50 per year by 2030, he said, the fight now hinges on retention, keeping people engaged, supported, and on their medication every single day. NAPS is urging anyone who has missed appointments or stopped treatment to return to care immediately. Support, counseling, and free medication remains available to clinics nationwide and through the NAPS hotline at 227-7138. Adana Dore, Guyana TV9 News. The Ministry of Home Affairs has announced an immediate and comprehensive overhaul of the motor vehicle tint waiver system, citing an exponential increase in requests and widespread complaints regarding abuse, inconsistency, and manipulation of the current mechanism. Colvin Abrams tells us more.
Following a competitive evaluation and consultation with the Ghana Police Force and technical experts, the Minister of Home Affairs, Onish Walwyn, revealed new measures designed to bring fairness, equity, and predictability to tint management. The most significant change is the introduction of a universal provision for basic tint that requires no waiver. Under the new regime, all motor vehicles will now be permitted to have tint with no less than 35% light penetration across the board, without needing a formal tint waiver from the minister. This stands in stark contrast to the previous regulations, which prohibited any tint without a special waiver, and even then only allowed for a minimum of 65% light penetration.
In the interest of equity and to eliminate administrative delays, there will be a universal provision for basic tint without waiver, which stipulates that all motor vehicles will now be allowed tint with no less than 35% light penetration. This applies across the board and does not require any tint waiver. Restricted waivers for high security categories will be introduced. Categories 1 and 2 will apply strictly to diplomats, government officials, high profile security related persons, and other specific categories expressly approved by the Minister of Home Affairs.
Motor vehicle owners and operators are required to fully comply with the revised regulations. To facilitate an orderly transition, the ministry has granted a compliance period until December 31, 2025. After the deadline, the Ghana Police Force is slated to commence aggressive nationwide enforcement operations. Failure to comply will result in prescribed fines and charges under relevant traffic and enforcement regulations.
All motor vehicle owners and operators are required to comply fully with these revised tint regulations. These changes are intended to bring predictability, equity, and fairness to the long-standing issue of tint management. Failure to comply will result in the application of prescribed fines and charges under the relevant traffic and enforcement regulations. I wish to underscore that prior to the implementation of this new tint management regime, in the absence of a tint waiver granted by the Minister of Home Affairs, windows on motor vehicles, whether factory or manually installed, were not permissible.
The minister emphasized that the changes aim to eliminate administration delays and the unfairness of the previous burdensome system, ensuring that every driver is now afforded a base level of tint without unnecessary bureaucratic hurdles. Colin Abrams, Ghana TV9 News.
In regional news, in a rare direct call on 21st November, U.S. President Donald Trump reportedly demanded that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro relinquish power immediately, offering safe passage for him and his family if he complied. Maduro refused, instead requesting a global amnesty and the ability to retain control of Venezuela's armed forces. The call, confirmed by Trump on Sunday, was brokered by Brazil, Qatar, and Turkey, but no further discussions have taken place. Trump's message comes amid a 4-month U.S. pressure campaign, including a massive naval deployment of Venezuelan's northern coast. Though many analysts doubt the threats will lead to direct military action, meanwhile, Maduro accused the U.S. of trying to seize Venezuela's oil reserves, and Colombia's President Gustavo Petro proposed Cartagena as a potential venue for talks between Maduro's regime and the opposition. And internationally, the death toll from catastrophic floods and landslides across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Malaysia has surged to more than 1,150, leaving thousands displaced and entire communities devastated. In Indonesia, over 600 people have died and hundreds remain missing across North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and Aceh provinces, where tens of thousands have been evacuated. Sri Lanka has reported 366 deaths, with another 367 missing, prompting the president to declare a state of emergency as more than 1 million people are affected. Southern Thailand's Songlab province has seen at least 131 fatalities, while Malaysia has reported 3 deaths amid widespread flooding. Rescue operations are ongoing across all 4 countries, with military personnel and emergency teams delivering food, clean water, and medical aid to stranded communities. In Indonesia, warships and helicopters are reaching isolated villages cut off by mudslides and floodwaters, while in Sri Lanka, the military has ferried thousands to safety in temporary shelters. And that has brought us to the end of tonight's newscast. Remember to check out our Facebook and YouTube platforms at GUYTV9 for more trending stories. I'm Madana Doric. Good night.